Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. Now today we're working with Spellbinders Clubs and I'm going to be bringing in the All Clubs Crate exclusive and bonus items. I've got the Scaredy Cat, which is the exclusive item. You've got the cat with a pumpkin, and then I have the Make a Monster, which is the All Clubs Crate bonus item. And we're just going to be working with these two dies, and we're going to make a couple of fun cards. Now hang with me till the end because we are making a fun interactive card with our Make a Monster. Now I've got my tray here and I've got all of my die cut pieces in here, and we're just going to get to assembling our Scaredy Cat. Now as I'm doing this voiceover, it actually looks like a rainy fall Halloween day. We've just got dreariness and just heavy rain coming down right now. And so it seemed kind of fitting that I might be making a fall Halloween card when we've got very fall Halloweenish weather going on right now. So it's actually kind of nice. I think we actually probably need a little bit of rain and some relief from the heat. So hopefully, I don't know what the temperature is, but it's actually kind of nice to get a little bit of rain this morning. I'm hoping it clears off because we've got a birthday party to go to, and I'm hoping that it's not going to rain through it. So here I've taken this rectangle die, and I am using it to cover up the eyes on my cat. I'm not sure what this die is for, but I'm going to use it for this purpose, and I will also use it with black cardstock to cover up the eyes and the mouth of my pumpkin. It seemed to work pretty well. Now you had to angle it a bit to get the eyes right on the cat, but it works perfectly on the pumpkin. So we've got our face beginning to come together. This is just the body of the cat. And this cat is designed to hang off the edge of your card, the way that they've made the tail and the body. So you're just going to position it right on the edges of your card. So this is the little collar, and I've chosen some peridot cardstock to die cut it out in. And I wanted to put it on there so that I could kind of position my head. And so I'll just put a little glue down on there, and I'm going to just tilt my head just a little bit. I want my cat's head to tilt just a slight little bit. So I'll get him laid down on there. And he looks kind of frightful. I suppose he's supposed to be scaredy. Anyway, so I'm going to get my collar position. Now this collar actually has a tag that goes on it. We've got this skull, and here's the little piece that you hang it from. And then I'm going to pull out the other pieces of the face that go with it. I think I had a little interruption in recording. So we've got just little fangs, and they're just the tiniest of little white pieces. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay the fangs down on here. There is good deboss detail that show you exactly where those fangs go. So I'm putting a tiny little dot of glue on there. I think I need to add more on the one side. I didn't get enough on there. And you need your wax tool for this, or some type of pickup tool, either your tweezers or your wax. And I'm going to get it turned over in the right direction. And then I'm kind of spinning it, and then I'm going to get it laid down on here. And then we'll get the other one on here after I add some more glue to it. Just trying to use the tiniest amount of glue just so I don't make a mess all over my little cat's face. And I had a little blob on one side of my tip, so I just kind of turned it and got the blob off of there. And I'm just going to pick it up with my tweezers and get them laid down on there. And then we'll start to bring in some of the other elements of our face. So here's a little close-up view of it, and you can see the fangs just kind of come right out of the little mouth. Now this is a little nose piece, and I've just taken some chiffon and cut it out, and I did the ears and the nose with chiffon. And I'm going to get it laid down there in the little area where it goes. And our little cat's starting to come together. So you've got two little triangle pieces for the ears, and whoops, I didn't grab that one. I'm just going to lay them out there. And I really think that one of them is a little bit whiter than the other one. And so I've laid them down, but then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking one looks whiter than the other. So I'll flip-flop which ones I lay down on there and position them. And then we'll grab the other one and put it on the other side. And it is just continuing to rain. It's early. My husband's still asleep. I got up real early and started crafting and thought, well, I can get this done before we have our birthday party. So here's the little skull that is part of the tag on the cat. And I'm just going to get it layered up on my black. I'm using Raven cardstock for this. And we'll just position it and give it a little pinch. And we've got our little skull. And then this is the little tag I'm going to hang it from. Now, I could have used silver and made a metal look. I think that's kind of how they show it on the packaging, but I decided to use black. And then we'll get our little skull laid down on here. And there we go. Now there is another little die that I'm going to use and add some whites to the eye, but I won't do that till later. I realize when I'm finishing up that I need the tongue to the pumpkin, and then I realize that I can use it for the tongue to the pumpkin and the eyes for the cat, so we'll get there. Anyway, this is that rectangular piece again, and I just die cut it out in black, and I'm going to use it to back my little eyes and mouth on my pumpkin. That's a cute little pumpkin. You could use this pumpkin, you know, alone. In fact, you could make several of them and just create, you know, a little card with these pumpkins. In fact, I think it would be fun to just die cut several of them and kind of stack them on top of each other. I think that'd be a cute look. So there's something to keep in mind. But I'm just going to put it on top of on top of the scaredy cat's head, just like they show in the picture. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to angle it? And I'm just going to plop him right up on there. So we'll get some glue on there. I know it's going to hang off the top, so I didn't glue all the way up. I just glued on the bottom and get it positioned. Now here's where I'm going to show you how it lays out. And you can see you've got straight edges on these pieces, and it's just designed to go on the edge of the card base. And so that's how it's designed to go. I'm going to bring in my card panel, and we're going to get to assembling. Now, I did use the embossing folder of the month for this, and that folder is called Harvest Mask. And it's got all these little faces on here that are raised, and I'm going to highlight them. I'm going to bring in my Hero Arts white. It's, I think, unicorn ink. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's called unicorn. And I'm just going to rub it across here. And that pigment ink pad just went on this perfectly. I mean, it just grabbed the faces, and I didn't even have any mess anywhere. And sometimes when you drag these across like that, you'll get some ink in the places that are not raised, but this seemed to do just perfect. Look at that. And it just makes those faces kind of pop out on that cardstock. So I'm going to bring in my card base. We'll get this laid down on here. And it's still a little wet, so I'm being careful with how I'm handling it. And then I'll actually pause after I get this laid down on there, give it plenty of time to dry, and then we'll come back in and assemble the rest of the pieces on this card. I actually laid this down on there, and then I went. The boys had gone. I made this the day before. I'm doing the voiceover the next morning, but the boys had gone home, and I was doing a little bit of crafting. Then I thought, well, I need to let this dry, and so then I went and tidied up the house and got everything put back in place and cleaned up after they left so that we can have a nice clean house for the weekend. I usually try to clean up each day after they leave, and so, you know, put their cars and toys and stuff away and vacuum and, you know, do all that so everything's fresh. But so I'm going to lay this little corner piece down, and this is the strangest little piece. If you got this die separated from this set, you would be like, what in the world is this for? Because it's a very strange little die cut piece, but it's basically part of the tail that is behind the cat, and then it's going to go up, and the rest of the tail is going to be up at the top of the card. So I'm just trying to get this position right on the edge, and I'm having a heck of a time getting both the top and the bottom right on the edge where I want it. So I'm just taking my time and getting it on there. And then you'll position your cat over this to make it seamless so that it flows. And we'll just get it laid down on here, and then I'm doing that so that I know how much room I have for my tail and where my tail should be. So I'll bring this in and just kind of connect it to that strange little piece there. I'm going to shift it over a little bit. And then we'll just give it a press. And then next we're going to add that tail. And you can see you just line it right up on the edge there. And it's a really cute look. So interesting how they come up with these dies for these cards. Super fun. So I'm going to get it laid down on there. And we've got most all of the elements on our card. I'm going to bring in the little tongue for the pumpkin, and I'm going to use that little die set for the eyes for the cat as well, or the little die piece. And then we'll get our sentiment. You do have the sentiment eek that is included. Now here are those 3 little pieces. This piece is actually on the die that has the cat ears and the cat nose, and it's just a smidge of a die. So I die cut it out 3 times in white, and I'm going to use the sliver for the eye of the cat, and then I'm going to use another sliver that I'm going to color in for the tongue of the pumpkin. Now on the packaging it does show the tongue of the pumpkin, and so I'm thinking that's what this die is intended for, but I thought it looked like it could make a nice little eye feature for the cat, and so I decided to add it there. I'm going to take this 3rd one, and I just used my tape to keep track of those tiny pieces because inevitably I'll lose them. And I'm just bringing in a red Copic marker and coloring it red for the tongue, and we're going to get it laid down on there. On the packaging, they show some, it looks like they've used a white gel pen for the eyes and just made a little line there, but I thought this looked like it would work just fine. So I'm using the die for a couple of different purposes here, and I think it works out just fine. So I got my tongue laid down on there, and now we've got that, and I'm realizing once I get going here that I haven't put the little vine to the pumpkin on there. I'm going to get it and bring it in, and then we've got our eek sentiment here, and I don't think I've realized yet that I need to add the vine. I'm working on the sentiment, and then I'll realize it's laying in my tray, and I'll see it and bring it back in. So I just took some, I think this is saffron, and I die cut out the eek, and we're just going to get it laid down on there. And honestly, my card, the symbol of my card is much like the packaging, because I put the eek right up here kind of where they did. It's kind of like the logical place where you've got some room on your card base to add it. Of course, you could put it on the inside of the card if you wanted to, but so we'll just get this laid down on there. On the packaging, it actually looks like they die cut it out twice and they offset it. So you could certainly do that as well. And we'll get our K. And the K has the smaller portion at the bottom of the K. And so we'll just flip it over and get it laid down on there. And then we'll add our exclamation point. Get some glue on there and get it laid down. And then eventually I will see that I have not added that vine to our pumpkin. Now here's the little tittle here. And it's the tiniest piece. These tweezers from Spellbinders, I love the reverse tweezers, and I've used them for a long time, but these are perfect for just teeny tiny bits, and they work really great for them. I'll link them in the description box below, the crafty tools from Spellbinders. And then here is the vine, and I'm just going to put a little glue on it and just tuck it behind there and just kind of let it. I'm only going to do just the bottom of it and just kind of let it hang loose there. It'll just kind of be raised, and it just looks like a little vine sticking up. And that finishes off this card. My first card always takes forever, and then my second card goes pretty quick. So we'll lay that aside, and we're going to bring in our Make a Monster set. And this is going to be our interactive card. And I didn't just want to lay a panel down there, so I brought in a die. And this is the Deckled Edge script die. And I just used the edge so that I could have a deckled edge and just make it look, I don't know, a little more wonky. And I did take the mouth die and die cut out of the bottom of that because I wanted to inset it. And then I brought the embossing folder from May. And it's called Poolside, but it has just kind of an interesting look to it. So I thought it would work well with this. There's just a bunch of lines on it. And then just showing you the die set. I don't know why I pulled that back in, but anyway, so we're going to get this panel laid down on here. I've got some washi tape where that deckled edge just barely fits on an A2 size panel. So I taped it so it wouldn't move, and I would get the edge, a nice edge all the way around. And we're just going to lay this straight down on there. We're not going to add any dimension. We're going to have an interactive card with this. We're going to use the card spinners. And so I don't think we need any more raised detail than what those spinners are going to add to it. And I could have just laid the mouth on the panel, but I wanted it inset. I think it looks a little more fun inset, and it kind of works with your teeth a little bit better. And so we're just going to get the mouth piece laid down in there. And for this, you've got the mouth, the tongue, and a couple of different types of teeth that you're going to lay down on there. And it'll just tuck it right in there. And it's just inset a little bit. I just think I liked it better that way. So I'm going to take the tongue and we'll get it positioned down here. I kind of made the mouth a little bit wonky on here. And this set is designed to give you some elements to make some different looks. So you can make them however you want. You can make the teeth come up from the bottom, come up from the top, however you want to do it. And you could use a variety of circles for the eyes. I'm going to layer them up, but you could make a cyclops. You could do 2 eyes. I'm going to do 2 eyes on this one. But you could just do a variety of things and just kind of create your own little monster. And then here's one of the fangs. There's 2 fangs. You've got that row of teeth and then a couple of fangs that you can use. And I'm just going to get them laid down on here. And that'll finish off our little mouth for our monster. And then we're going to move on to the fun part, the eyes. So I've just die cut out all of the circles in some different fun Halloween colors, and I'm just going to layer them up. I think I've got carrot, and I've got beeswax, and then white, and then raven. And one size eye is bigger than the other. So you could make 2 big eyes, you could make 2 small eyes, you could make a big eye and a small eye like I've done here, or you could just make a cyclops. You could also take these eyes and put them all over your background and just make a whole bunch of eyes. And that would be interesting as well. So I'll just get my little eyeball laid in there. We're going to get our other one assembled. And then we're going to bring in our card spinners. Now that was moving around on me. I thought I got some glue on there. So I'm going to give it a good press and get it to position in there. And there you go. I thought the layered eyes were super fun. So we'll just glue these up similarly. This is the smaller set. And I'll just get all the pieces together and then we will get to working on the fun part of this card. So here's my 2 eyes, and as I was looking at it, this poolside actually has some squares, and I saw a couple of flat areas that I could use for my spinners, and so I'm going to use those. So I'm going to bring in 2 of the large spinners from Spellbinders, and we'll get them laid down on there. Now, when I've been using my spinners, I like to use double-sided tape as well as glue just to make sure that I get them stuck down really nice. So I'll bring in some double-sided tape and get it laid down on there, and then we will add some glue and we will get our little eyeballs laid down on our card. So I'll just give them a little press, make sure I've got them good and adhered, and then we'll pull that off. And then I'm just going to grab my glue gun, just add a little dot of glue, just trying to make sure I've got plenty of adherence. And I'm just laying these kind of down inside those little square areas between the raised edges of that 3D embossed folder. And there we go. We've got our 2 spinners. And then I'm going to do the same, put the double-sided tape on my eyeballs, and I'll put a little dot of glue on the spinners, and we'll just get them laid down on there. And there we go. We'll get this other one positioned on there. And they're already starting to spin. Those spinners work so fantastic. Love them. Isn't that fun? So we've got a fun little monster. Now, I didn't have a sentiment for the inside of the set, and so I just took my classic mouse alphabet, and I just die cut out Boo, and I think it's super cute. I just brought in some yellow, orange, and green, and I'm just going to lay them down on the inside of the card, and I think it's a cute little sentiment to add to this little monster card. So I'll just glue them up and get them laid down on there. And I like the extra little bit of color on the inside of the card. I'm going to kind of lay them kind of wonky on the inside. And we've got a little make a monster card with a little Boo sentiment in them. And so these are the add-ons to the All Club crates. These are the bonuses that you get for subscribing to the crate. And I think they're super fun. Now later this week I will be working with the other club kits, so come back and check it out. So if you enjoy this type of content, I have linked a playlist up that includes some additional content that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.